Welcome back to the TBR Network. My name is Tara.
I'm Nikki.
And I'm Frankie.
You guys have to introduce yourselves.
So did I.
I fucking forgot.
It's
Like,
just me.
wholeheartedly
There's
forgot.
nobody else. Ignore the other two on the screen.
It's cool. Whatever.
No one else
They
is
have
here.
no names.
Girl, I'm just a floating head.
Okay.
Buns.
Today we're getting back to Fourth Wing. This is part 2. Hopefully the last part for this book. We have a lot to get through. Starting with where we left off, where Violet was poisoning her enemies? No, not enemies, but her opponents. I mean, in a way, they are enemies due to the fact that they're allowed to kill each other.
Everybody.
But
Yeah. And her wing leader was tapped in and started kicking her ass.
like time passes, the Gauntlet is introduced. Ree brings up a very good question, because it's like, I think it was like 6 weeks after they started, they finally are like, oh, you guys are going to train on the Gauntlet. And Ree's like, why didn't we start doing this from the beginning? Since this was like, it was like an important part. And the Gauntlet.
Wait, it's also important to state that during those 6 weeks, her feelings for Zayden
Have they really festered, or is she still being like, he's gonna kill me? There's a random, yes,
It's both.
There's just like a couple like random scenes of them together or something. I don't know. I can't remember everything that happened. It was like just a bunch of filler, but they start training on the silly Gauntlet. I say silly. It's supposed to.
And
Yeah,
everybody's
it's supposed
paranoid.
to be an obstacle course on the side of a mountain. And I guess the importance of it was to basically train them on how to mount and climb a dragon, because like dragons are huge. Oh, actually, before the Gauntlet, was it before the Gauntlet? There was their dragon class where they actually learned about the dragons.
It was during the practicing for the Gauntlet.
There's a class.
Yeah. Because it was stupid. Like, listen, I get it, but why would you need to practice for the Gauntlet? The Gauntlet is the Gauntlet. Why would you need to run that course and have all these students dying rather than just one day?
I mean, the whole why have all the students dying in the first place? They had a model on how, so that they could practice like sitting on a dragon. Why didn't they just have like a model of a dragon so they could practice climbing the dragon? Like, I don't know. I don't actually understand the point of the Gauntlet, besides just to...
Listen, she wrote the book. She didn't need to fill in the details. Okay?
she
did her
didn't need
best.
to world build? No, it's an obstacle course. They gotta...
No, she needs to world build better.
It's an obstacle course. They need to be able to not only mount their dragon, but also like it tests their physical like strengths and too. The problem is Violet's too fucking tiny for it, which means anybody that's like in the 5, like probably anybody under like 5'8" is too short for it.
So, it's also important to mention here that she practices this several times leading up to the presentation, and she keeps failing at the chimney, which, if I remember correctly, is like this like uphill. How I imagined it
was like two boards on like each side, and all I'm thinking is like, what's that word? Parkouring. Parkour.
I thought she was gonna jump.
Just parkour, like a video game character.
But that's so much momentum she would need, and she's just too tiny to get up there.
So like during all her practices, she never accomplishes the chimney. Never gets through that like last part, I guess. So she hatches a plan for the like official,
The day of.
the
Yeah, the day
actual.
of.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, trust me.
This is the life or death.
And our fuckboy Dane.
We'll get to his bullshit.
Fuckboy
We'll get to
Dane.
his bullshit. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
At this point, like, he's kind of starting to wear thin. He's just like has said it too many times now. Oh, like trying to convince her, like, instead of just giving up, he's still, you can't do
Violet,
it.
you
We know.
can't
We
do
know
this.
she's tiny and petite and fragile. Like, shut the fuck up, Dane. Like, it's enough.
He's overplaying his role in her life.
Yes.
That's the funny part. And he doesn't fucking get it. Like, he's still leaning
so
on the history as a
convinced that
crush.
she's going to die.
Well,
It's like, don't do the gauntlet. Please don't. I can't
Then
watch.
close your
I can't
fucking
lose you.
eyes.
then turn away.
Exactly. Bunch of bullshit. I swear.
During the Gauntlet training, also, we get introduced to a character named Ariel, who, like, literally is named. Like, the rest of her squad gets their names during this part of the book, during the Gauntlet area. So we've got Sawyer, we've got Ariel, we've got Luca, and we're gonna call him Percy because I don't remember his fucking name. We get introduced to what?
Riddick?
No, not Riddick. No, it was like a P
Riddick?
name.
No,
like,
Riddick was
this
before.
character in the whole like 2 sentences that describes him is like, oh, he is a super indecisive person. And in the end, that's what gets him killed. Like, his inability to make a decision. Yeah, he hesitated. So they're like, smoke ya.
Right.
We get introduced to these characters, and Ariel, like, she gets the teeniest bit of a backstory. Like, her dad, she's a legacy, basically. Her dad is up there in the ranks, but she dies immediately. Like, her, like, foot slips, and Violet can't, like, catch her hand in time, and she dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part, and she dies. It's
dies.
just another character like Dylan, where you get just the teensy bits of thing, like a backstory, and
Interested.
then they immediately die, and the idea is you're supposed to, like,
She keeps you on your toes.
sort of, like,
sure.
I wasn't really that sad when Ariel died. I'm like, oh, this might be an interesting character to get to know, but you don't get to know her. Like, she dies, you don't have any kind of attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very much like rest of the characters that die.
I think it was more about Violet's character development, like seeing someone she considered really good and like possibly a friend just die on this thing. It, like, I think it motivated her to actually come up with a plan to beat it, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
Maybe the thing is, like, I would have felt worse, like, or like it would have been more meaningful if the character that had died was like Ree, because we already know she has a connection with Ree. We already know that she has a friendship with Ree.
Yeah.
For all we know, Ariel's been, like, existent for all of 2 seconds. Like, she doesn't have a connection with her except for, like, 2 seconds of, like, her being like, you can do this. So,
yeah.
The thing,
more page fillers.
yeah, the thing is, though, like, a lot of the characters, even, like, the main characters, don't get a whole lot of development, and I want to feel attached to these people, but I'm just like, I'm just waiting for the next name to die. Yeah.
Maybe that's just her trying to show how easy it is for people to come and go in the book, in the quadrant.
Yeah. I mean,
she's overdoing it.
You end up kind of like the names end up being meaningless, just like the names on the list that they read over, because, like, you don't know these people.
Mm-hmm.
No, in reality, you really only care about Violet, Ree,
I care about
Zayden.
Riddick and Liam.
I
And
care about
possi-
Liam. I cry. I love Liam.
Yeah.
I would say
Liam was my best
Yeah,
friend.
Liam too.
I
I
would
forgot
say
about Liam.
more than Violet and Zayden though.
But we didn't care about Liam until
Liam's
later.
coming up though. Like our care for him will come up. But like I would say out of the characters, and they haven't like even been introduced at this point, the characters I cared more about were the dragons. And I needed more dragon.
True.
Right.
Like this book needed more dragons.
So,
No, listen, my main interest...
We're getting to the
Exactly.
dragons.
My main interest was the wittiness of Taryn. Like, as soon as he came in, I was like, oh yeah, that's my favorite character. That is
Yes.
it. He was so sarcastic.
So, to kind of get us back on track here. So,
Oh, hello, Quinn.
We're at the
Violet
Gauntlet.
comes up with we're at the Gauntlet. Violet comes up with a plan using ropes and knives to help her climb up the chimney, which is the part that she kept failing at the 10 freaking times.
Keep in
that
mind,
she,
these are the daggers and the blades that she's won throughout combat, and the ones that she came into the Rider Squadron wearing. So technically, listen, Amber's a little bitch for saying she's a fucking cheater. She didn't cheat. Technicality wise,
yeah.
So
she's allowed to
literally.
use it.
I found
She calls
that
her out
scene,
for
like,
cheating.
a little. It dragged on, even though it wasn't a very long scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so she and I don't understand why like it even matters that she used something. Obviously, we don't want her like stabbing her dragon's leg to climb up the dragon, but that wasn't the dragon. It was the gauntlet. So any means necessary. She needed to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone was upset because kind of like how we discussed in the first video that no one thought about using their dragon's scales for armor. I don't think any of those previous riders who made it through the chimney thought to use a dagger and just scale up that way.
She was trained as a scribe her entire life. Her dad trained her for this. Her mother was a fucking sketchy bitch. I'm sorry.
I'm still expecting her mom to pull some shady shit.
We
might find out.
So, what is the word? She's diligent, but the word she's very crafty. Like when it comes to getting shit done, because she's so used to not being able to do it because of her size, she is so crafty.
Yeah, and when you're going to be considered the weakest link in a group, and
clever. That's the word.
She like small, like most of the people, even the girls, are all like taller than her, and they're more athletic. You do have to kind of like use whatever you can to your advantage, and like,
and hers is knowledge.
Yeah.
She has a disability and she is small, so she has the cards stacked against her. So I honestly would not have faulted her for what she did during the Gauntlet, but there's people in the world that are just like these sticklers that like, yeah, there's laws and rules for reasons, but technically she didn't break them in a way that you needed to lose your fucking shit for. And then the fact, and
no,
I'm like,
literally,
I'm not surprised she became a problem.
But we had to have a reason for Dane to do what he did later on in the book, and this would have been it. We had to show people how serious it was for people to follow the Codex.
Yeah, or
we also had to show people Amber's like turning point. I think this is what makes her fucking just be a bitch
from the beginning.
Like,
later on.
It would have been good to introduce Amber a little bit earlier so that we could get like little bits of her being like, you need to follow the rules, you need to follow the rules, just so that like when she like situations like this happens at the Gauntlet, like you already know she's going to be like, you need to follow the rules, or like get on her about the codex, but like she goes very aggressive, and I wanted to see like the microaggressions before the like aggressiveness, you know. I don't think it's wrong. I think Mavis, like, she ends up playing a bigger role later, but again, she's one of those characters that like is going to be small. She's not mentioned a whole lot, so you don't get very invested in her.
Yeah, she's only mentioned when it comes to Dane.
Yeah,
that's it.
We find out that she and Dane had a relationship, and Violet's pretty sure like he had a sexual relationship with Amber Mavis.
Yeah.
But
and she's totally fucking okay with it because she don't see it like that. She's into
Well, not only that, like even if she wasn't like, even if she like was interested in Dan, it was in the past. Like, move the hell on.
You're right. You saw how she was looking at fucking Imogene when she man, listen, later in the book my point will be proven.
Yes. But oh my god, I almost said Rysand. No. Xaden, of course, is like, it takes her side because on the technicality, like, she had the dagger, and she used, not the ones that she won, she used the dagger that she brought with her. Yeah. So.
Yeah. She quotes the codex to everybody. She's like, a writer may only bring to the quadrant the items they can carry. And Amber goes, are you quoting the codex to me? And they shall not be separated from those items, no matter what they may be. I continue. For once carried across the parapet, they are considered part of their person. Article 3, Section
Unless,
6.
of course, somebody beats your ass and wins it from you.
Yeah.
Basically,
and then Amber's all like, blah, 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 blah.
She didn't really break the rules.
Amber's like, you need to punish her. Pass by a technicality.
We can't be allowing this. And I'm like, I mean, technicalities like save people from life sentences all the time. Get over it. Move on. So after everyone's finished, I guess, with the Gauntlet, a couple more people had died. They get all lined up and done with the Gauntlet. They go to they're going to be paraded in front of the dragons. And during the dragon class, we learned a couple of key important things, and this comes into handy during this like little walk. Okay, we learned that only 100 dragons decided to. I don't know why I'm holding up 5 fingers. 100 dragons decided to bond, but there's like 170 cadets, so there's not going to be an even amount of dragons and cadets, and there's a possibility that those 100 dragons, a couple of them decide not to bond in the end.
Because they don't find them worthy.
But they already also have a tally of what dragons each, like, what type of dragons there are. So, and...
Oh, yeah, because what's his face? Which professor has the gift of projection?
The
No, he's a writer, too.
I forget his name.
I don't remember his name.
Well, he showed everybody what dragons would be there.
I'm pretty sure it was like a Japanese name, like, I don't know. Nikki's gonna research it for me real quick because she's got the book in front of her. I don't.
We can continue while I try to find
this teacher can project images from his mind, which is very cool. I like that. That's a great ability, especially if you're a teacher. But like, he's describing the different dragon types, which is kind of a lame way that they named them. They're like a red dragon tail. What was it? Dagger tail. A dagger tail, or a morning star tail,
and a club tail.
Like, and it's their color, and then like what kind of like shape their tail takes, I guess. It doesn't matter. It matters not how they describe them or how they name them. All I could think when they're talking about dragons is toothless. He's the only dragon.
No, but when he started describing the one dragon nobody has seen in years, I was like, okay, you got it. And then they were describing feather tails and how
The feather tailers.
nobody knows much about
Yeah.
them. Yeah, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be one of the two. It's gotta be, because what the fuck?
Yeah, as soon as he cause it was like Jack that brought up the black dragon. He was like, "Oh, what's the biggest, meanest, baddest dragon around?" And he's like,
yeah,
excuse me. He's like,
their rider died.
This dragon, and he's like a black morning star tail. He's not gonna be there. He's the only other black dragon around besides General Melgreen's dragon. But it's been,
which is lesser than the Terran.
Yeah, but
because the black dragon is Terran. Yeah. I don't know.
But we find out that this dragon's last rider was a guy named, what was it? No, not Nolan. That was the Mender. I don't remember what his damn name is. But he died trying to save her brother's life.
Her brother.
Yes.
He tried to use all his power. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, so he ended up...
And Terran was traumatized.
Yeah, Terran was traumatized. He, now refuses to pick a rider. Queenie, why are you upsetters?
Wait, whenever a rider tries to use all of their power to the fullest extent, they call it a burnout, and is the hardest thing to recover from.
Yeah, it leads to death. Mm-hmm. It's basically exhaustion times 10,000. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, but
exactly,
they explode, right?
So
they try to harness way too much power and they explode.
I think in some cases they can explode, but in his just entire body gave out and he died.
Yeah, I think he imploded internally.
It was never discussed as to why. Well, it was discussed, but it wasn't really in depth.
Why he tried to
as to why
So Professor Kiori is like, "Oh, I think it was just so that he had the glory of saving a soaring gale and could get on your mother's good side." And I'm like, no, nobody sacrifices their life to that point just to make their name. Well, I mean, maybe somebody, but I'm like, no, there's something deeper there. There's either they were lovers or besties.
Ooh, what? I didn't even think about that.
I've got thoughts about that from when we talk about our final thoughts. So while they parade through the dragons, 2 people get roasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're walking through,
and that was funny.
And they're told to chit chat and have conversation to show how likable they are. And I'm like, so this is the beauty pageant portion. They need to, I don't know why they need to be presented as likable or they can work together or something when they're literally killing each other at this school. But let's have a personality contest here. And I don't know how Jack didn't get roasted at that point.
Right?
Because his personality is the cartoon bullshit asshole. But yeah, 2 people get roasted. It's that indecisive guy. We're calling Percy because I can't remember his name. Because they kind of get stopped when 2 of the green dragons decide to sniff up on Violet, and it's I liked that scene mostly because I'm like, oh, what the heck's gonna happen? Is shit gonna go down?
Right. That was kind of like a foreshadow that more than one dragon was interested.
Oh yeah. No,
I like that.
I thought for a second, these dragons are showing interest. And she figured out, they probably smell my sister's dragon's scales on my armor.
Oh, the vest.
And she talks to them too. She points out to them, "Oh, you guys are smelling." What's her dragon's name?
Something with a T.
Something with a T.
We're so bad at remembering
but
names.
I I like that part because she was like, we really are.
I
We
thought
should
I
have written them
did.
down.
Wait,
Hey, I didn't get these post-it notes until a few days ago.
Teen. Her
Um,
sister's dragon's name is Teen.
but I thought it was really relatable because she talks to the dragons like you would talk to your animals. Like if anyone has a cat, bird, gecko, dog,
Snake,
I,
snakers, bears. Oh my!
tiger.
I
Everybody at some point, and you can't tell me you don't, but everybody at some point talks to their animal like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're smelling so and so, or oh, hey.
yeah.
So to me, that I
Yeah.
really like.
I don't know if I would talk to a dragon. I mean, not these dragons, like they were one of my dogs or one of my cats, because I literally
Baby talk.
Yeah, I literally go up to Nugget and go, "Oh my God, you're so cute, you little Nugget, you little baby." Or like Quincy, I just like, "Oh my God, you fat little sausage! Oh my gosh!" I like baby talk them.
No.
But no, like I would say that like anytime I come home from a friend's house and I smell like another dog, I'll be like, "Oh, you're smelling your friend, blah blah blah." Oh, I betrayed you. You're smelling somebody else's dog. And then,
Right.
and then they're like, I don't care.
Like they sniff you for 5 seconds, and then they're like, "Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know where you went."
But
So I feel like the dragons were doing
they
that
were
too.
like, why?
Oh, okay, cool.
Why does she
This
smell like
person's-
one of us? It's very interesting, and I did like that scene because it kind of it felt like I didn't feel like she was in danger necessarily, but it felt a little tense, and like it kind of. I don't know. I just thought it was a good scene. I can't really explain it, but they come across the feather tail, and like Frankie said,
The very, very last one.
near the end. No, they still had.
Well, they come across it after
Yeah,
she wanders
they
for a
come
bit.
across the feather tail, and like Frankie said, because like Frankie just said, she was like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of the two. It's gonna either be the big black dragon or the feather tail." They're told before they start walking that a feather tail appeared, and during the class, I'm thinking like they're describing this big badass dragon. I'm like, that's gonna be her dragon. I had no doubt. I thought the feather tail sounded interesting, so I kind of was hoping we'd see one, and of course we did. I'm like, the big black dragon is gonna be hers, and then a feather tail showed up, and then when they're describing it, because it's like this small gold dragon,
Yeah, like a piece of glitter.
yeah, and all I'm picturing is toothless gold, with like a feathery tail. But I'm like,
I was picturing like a phoenix.
like if I was like, oh, maybe this will be her dragon because it's like the perfect size for her. Like, she was all kind of like insulted that they were like, oh, you should bond with that dragon. And I'm like, why not? It's adorable. It's the perfect size, but of course she was offended by that. Because like obviously it doesn't look very threatening. It doesn't look very strong. Like what job is she gonna have with a little cold dragon? I'm like, does it fucking matter? It was cute. Two of their teammates get roasted, and they kind of just like end it. The threshing. Now, this is the thing that we have been waiting for the entire book, and this finally happens like halfway through it. Is when they're gonna go out to a field and hopefully find their dragon, the dragon that wants to bond with them. And they're told, oh, just like follow your feelings. Yep. You should feel like a tug or something. And she's kind of just like, they're all released. Oh, and Dane wants to remind her again like he can't do anything. If she gets into like trouble, he can't come save her. Like, please don't do the threshing. I can't save you. I have to just watch if something happens. And she tells him, then look away. I'm like, you tell him, girl.
That was a badass
Look
part.
away.
At this point, she's
is.
getting so frustrated with him just like putting her down constantly. Oh, I can't leave
Underestimating
you.
her.
I can't watch. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Then stop watching.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Gouge them out for me if you really love me. Okay, so at the part where, right, they're wandering. This is the threshing. They're wandering. They're told to not approach them, right?
No, they have to approach the dragons to find the right one, but like they were taught, I guess, specific ways to approach them.
Right.
So
yeah.
like, and she spouts those facts during their little parade, on the different ways to like their different personalities and stuff. And I'm like, why didn't we just learn this in the class? Why am I getting this now?
Oh, technically, we did learn it in the class. It's just a part of the class that us as the reader wasn't privy to, so that way Violet's just letting us know now, hey,
yeah, this is what we learned.
How we do
and
it.
I feel like as somebody that was a scribe or training to be a scribe, shouldn't she already know everything about dragons? Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't she?
No, she doesn't.
I feel like she...
I will say though, like, whatever lack of information that she probably has is due to the fact that just their entire like populace has a lack of information on these dragons, because we come to find out the dragons don't fucking tell them shit. Okay, like they only know so much.
The dragons don't need
This
to.
is not very good communication. They rely on each other. This is a partnership, and they're just like, I'm only going to give you like this amount. I understand not trusting the humans.
The necessities to survive. That's it.
I understand not trusting
Right.
the humans completely
But
with certain
again,
things.
they're dragons. Like,
Then they don't need the
freaking
peeps.
dragons. You really think a dragon's gonna be like...
They don't need the peeps. Just
Yeah.
enslave the humans. Make them do your bidding. Stop with this bond and like we're going to work together shit. Just enslave the humans. We're not very smart to begin with. These dragons are supposed to be thousands of years older than us and so much smarter.
Yet they can't open doors.
Anyways.
The magic is
They can't. They have no thumbs.
The magic is so confusing. Like, why do we have pens powered by magic? You guys couldn't figure out how to just make a regular like ink pen. They have quills, but if you have to,
Nope. So, Violet wanders off for a little bit, and while she's wandering off, she overhears fucking
Barlow.
Bitch boy.
Bitch
Yeah,
Barlow. That is
Orin.
his name.
Bitch Barlow.
Overcompensating
and
Orin.
Orin, what's his face?
what was? Oh god, it's another T name.
Say
wasn't
they're gonna
it?
kill the gold dragon.
What was his name?
Yeah,
because he dies. It's one of her teammates. Her
Tier?
They're both
Yeah.
fine, but let's be real here.
Tire.
something like
Fuck, that's hard. Man, fuck it. We're not gonna get it. Let's just, anyways.
yeah. So Jack and
Let's-
two of
let's
his
just go.
lackeys, Orin
So-
and we're just gonna call him T-Dog, are talking. She overhears them
About how they're gonna
because
kill
it's
the golden dragon.
it is a monstrosity. It's a failure. It's a weakling. Like,
Because she's
it's so
tiny.
small.
That's literally the only reason.
and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
what? It doesn't matter how small it is. It's a fucking dragon,
Right?
You think
But
the other dragons
they
are going
know
to be okay with
nothing.
you killing it?
But they know nothing about Feathertails. They don't know how big they're supposed to be yet. They don't know.
It doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. It's not. It doesn't matter. The fact is it's a dragon, and I don't think the other dragons would take too kindly
Yeah,
of them
absolutely.
killing her, just because they're like, oh, it's small. Like,
But
it's
keep in
just-
mind, I think they're going based off the assumption that that's how big she's ever gonna get. Like, that's it. That's all that
Yeah.
she has to offer.
Yeah,
A pet.
it
A fucking
is.
pet.
Yeah, they have a these men obviously have a complex. They are
Toxic
overcompensating and have to
masculinity.
kill all the tiny things.
Oh.
Exactly. So she overhears them and decides, I'm not gonna let y'all
She's
kill
gonna
this
try to rush
this
Her
ahead,
baby
moral
run
dragon.
the
compass is
dragon, get
like,
it to go
should
away.
I not? Do I stay or do I go? Anyways, she went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
She
like,
crossed
get
off
out of
the.
here, run away, and the gold dragon's like, what?
Mhm.
Just like, what?
Yeah.
She's a blonde.
Little dragon just sits there
And of
the
course they
entire
show up.
time.
The gold dragon does not
So
even move, like just kind of looks at her. They show up, they're like, we're gonna kill you. And she's like, you can't do that. And
She's like, you have to go through me.
she's like, you're not gonna fly away, huh?
Can you
can't
fly?
can you?
No.
And the
She
dragon
doesn't
just
know if it can
stares at her.
fly. She looks at its where what's supposed to be claws, and it's just little paws. And I'm just like, this fucking dragon is too fucking cute.
She's a little pet.
You just cannot be angry at this little
She's a
dragon.
little
It's too
baby.
fucking cute.
Nope. So then it turns into a 3-on-1
Oh yeah.
fight. Because Violet's standing in front of this dragon and has to fight Jack, Orin, Overcompensator, and T-Dog. All at the same
guess
time.
who is just standing there on the side, even though he's not supposed to be down there, who's not supposed to be interfering. He's just standing there, watching.
Frankie, can
Creeping.
you say it
My
for me?
man. My man.
It is, if you could not tell, it's Zayden. Zayden is standing there with his dragon being like, oh, I'm just too cool for school. And
because of the codex, he can't interfere.
Yeah, the Orin and Jack are like, well, you can't interfere. Yep. And he makes this comment. He's like, I can't interfere, but I can like commentate. And I was like, yes, I appreciate some of his like little quips. Yeah, because sometimes they are a little witty, maybe a little cheesy witty, but it's still a little witty, and I like that kind of thing. I like little quips. So when we get introduced to Taryn, who's about to come in and like lay down the law, like I love sarcastic dragons, and he's nothing but sarcastic. So I love it.
Backtracking, fucking Violence. He nicknamed her Violence. We forgot to mention that.
Because I don't care for that.
I love it.
You love it. I don't like it.
I love it.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was an interesting change. Like, he doesn't call her Vi.
Right, there's a different tone. Like he sees her, but not. Like he's mocking her. And I love it. Because that's so fucking cute. Like, I want somebody who's going to be able to go back and forth with me. I don't want somebody who's going to be like, oh, Violet, Vi. Yeah. Like everybody else. Some different. A little spice in my life, you know?
I guess, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's not a nickname. She like, tells him like, don't call me that. And then the some of the like later writing or like lines around it are so freaking cheesy later. Like she's like, oh no, I'm becoming just like my nickname, Violence. And I'm like, oh my god.
But see, she accepts it
like
as
near
a
the
nickname
end
from him.
It's kind of like how in Bones, like Booth keeps calling Brennan Bones, and eventually she just like kind of accepts it, but he's the only one allowed to call her that. He's the only one that's allowed. Yeah,
no one else can call her Bones.
And I get like, it reminded me of that, but like I've seen other people mention it where like it's not a wanted nickname and it's just kind of weird, and he just basically forces it on her, and I'm like, I feel like that's how many nicknames come about.
That's what it's called, a nickname.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I thought it was funny.
As someone who has gotten,
like you said, Nikki.
Right. Yeah. So as you were saying, she fights all three of these dudes. literally the weakest person in the quadrant takes on 3 people
But
at once.
it's not even for very long. 'Cause
Then
she throws one of her daggers, gets Jack in the shoulder,
And
like,
he runs off
in
like the
this,
little
like,
pussy that
area.
he is.
Yeah, he runs off like a little bitch. And so she's stuck fighting off Orin and T-Dog, and that's when our big awesome black dragon comes in. He's like ginormous, and he's like, he scares the shit out of them.
well, she sees them start to freak out. And
Well, it
when
goes
she
dark,
sees them start to
they
freak out, she looks behind
She's
her.
like, oh my god, he's like
she
taller
looks
than a
behind her and is
skyscraper.
like,
Well, they don't say skyscraper, but that's...
and then
Mm-hmm.
he talks to her in her mind. Is like, Silver One?
Yeah.
I got this.
Torches...
And she's like,
yeah,
you're talking to me?
Like, yeah, obviously, you're the only one with
Because
silver
they
fucking
bonded.
hair.
My babies.
And he torches T-Dog, and she had knocked Orin out, and he was like, oh, you should kill him, and she's like, well, that's not the kind of person I am, and I'm like, bitch, he was about to kill you, kill his ass, I don't care, there's no more, like,
no morality.
fair, there's no more being fair here, stab him in the butt, kill his ass. No.
She hasn't learned that yet. So she leaves him alive.
Which was bad. But Taryn's like, okay, fine. I guess you're going to leave him alive. Oh, and the gold dragon hasn't said anything at this
She
point.
flew away, right? She flew, and she was like, oh, you can fly.
They sort of like, she does kind of like fly. Yeah,
after
she
they got
Taryn.
on, yes.
Oh, and Taryn introduces himself as Taryn Nanok, which is a Scottish Gaelic base, and it's a hard name to pronounce,
which is why we keep calling him Taryn.
Yeah, he's like, you can just call me Taryn, and he tells her his whole full name, which is like, I'm Taryn Nanaka, blah 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 line, and blah 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 thing, and
well, he has to, because when they get to, so during threshing, once your dragon picks you and you do your little like fly through thing, then you get to what's it called? The flyers.
They have to go like meet up with everybody else.
Pad or something like that. Yeah, and when they do, not only is her mom there, but the general's there with a scroll open. And they ask for your dragon's name.
How they know every dragon's name?
So that's why
I'm thinking there's some dragons that have never bonded before.
Yeah. So that's why Taryn tells her his name, because she has to say it to the general, and then when she says his, our little gold baby dragon also comes up and goes, and me too.
Me, my name's Andrana.
My name,
like
say mine.
She doesn't have like
Darna.
this whole speech. And Darna, yes, sorry.
Once she says both of the dragons' names,
blown. Everybody's losing it.
Everybody loses their shit. They're like, both? What? You have
everybody's like, what? They like lose it. They call a meeting, and Taryn's like, they don't get a fucking say, and then like. It's like, he's like, it's none of their fucking business. Like, we get to do whatever the fuck we want. Like, they have no say. And then he has to go to his own meeting. And I guess, like, basically both sides decide, okay, she can have both dragons because she's the super special main character. She's got to have the, like, 2 dragons. Which, honestly, I'm like, that's pretty cool. It's cool. But also, he has the audacity to be like, this isn't my child. She does what she wants. And I'm like, bitch, you adopted that. Do you not understand adoption? You and Scale.
What? I thought it was Scale.
Scale. You and your fucking lady dragon adopted her. Do you not understand that? That is your baby dragon. That is your baby. Which we find out she's a baby dragon a little bit later, but that that's his baby. You can't be telling me like you have no control over her. She's not your child. She fucking is.
Exactly. So, once they agree that Violet can keep both of her dragons,
We find out.
then we get to learn about signet powers.
They start they all.
Everybody's in a rush to like figure out what
there's
their
different signet powers, and basically signet powers are dependent on each person. It's not the dragon that decides what power it has or the person has. So each signet power develops based on like your personality, I guess. So she explains that like Mira's power is the wards, and she can put up shields and stuff because she's a protective kind of person. Xaden has shadow powers because he's kind of on the mysterious and like hidden. He's a secretive person. Dane is a nosy ass bitch. His is basically seeing people's memories. But we learned that there's one that like if you develop this power, it's instant death. It doesn't fucking matter. Where you can just read people's thoughts. Yeah. And they're considered like a security risk. So when this kid,
the person develops their powers,
this teacher like just comes out of nowhere, and he's the teacher for the signet powers. He comes out of nowhere and snaps this guy's neck. And it scares the shit out of Violet because I'm like, that's intense. Like he had no chance. Like there was no like, oh well, he can use it for good or he can use it to like be a spy or anything. They're like, no, you can't be alive. You're dead. The signet powers take a while for some people to develop though. And the only way to get it is if your dragon actually decides to, like, channel magic into you. Mm-hmm. So, like...
They're not going to waste it if they don't think that you're ready.
Yeah, we get to this point where it's just kind of, like, there's a little bit of dragging on. She's like, oh, nothing happened. We had our flight classes. We had some more sparring challenges. I got off of kitchen duty. Also, my dragon is mated to Xaden's dragon, and now Xaden is protective of me because if I die, he might die, and everything's all messed up. And also, the gold dragon was a baby dragon the whole fucking time. Which, obviously. Oh, we've never seen baby dragons before, but there's these small feather tails. I'm like, that's the fucking babies. Oh, my mind was blown when we found that out.
So, just a small mention right here. At the end of the threshing, when they're all bonded with their dragons, everybody said the name of their dragons and so on. All the dragons mark their riders with a special, like, mark, like, tattoo. So, and Darna, right? And Taryn, both.
It's so badass.
Was they both just blew fire onto her back, and then like that fire just
because they can burn. Remember,
turned into a fucking.
The riders could burn, but it was just their breath, like a breath of magic.
It just felt like it was burning. Gotcha. But I do like the idea that like she basically got this massive back tattoo.
That was the black silhouette dragon. Of a dragon.
And then
the gold one.
And I'm
with
like,
a little gold dragon.
Yeah, that's your fucking baby, Taryn. Yeah.
But, so that ties into the signets.
That's the connection.
It connects them with their dragons. Yeah, and helps unlock those signet powers. But the other reason I wanted to bring this up is because right after that happens, we get fuckboy Dane.
Oh my god! I wanted to like
Being a
completely
fuckboy.
forget about that part. So like, yeah, they're celebrating. There's fireworks. He rushes up to her. I'm pretty sure, like, wasn't he an ass just like minutes before? But he like rushes up to her and grabs her by the face and kisses her, and like,
Ew.
Well, he rushes up to her and points out to her, "Hey, everything that Xaden told you about how I wouldn't follow the rules, you have to know I would do
except for
anything
break
to
the
save you."
rules.
And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, I know." And then he kisses her,
Ew.
and she's like, "This is everything.
This was everything I wanted,
wanted.
but I'm
Wait.
disappointed.
I don't
This is
want
not
it
what
anymore."
I mean, like, cause okay, yeah, no, yeah, he got into an argument with Xaden about because Xaden was on the field when he wasn't supposed to be, and it's like, well, he technically didn't interfere, like, and Dane's accusing him of interfering. He's like, you interfered, you called Taryn, like, this is all your fault, blah blah blah. And I'm like, did you ever
Yeah.
think that maybe he really didn't have anything to do with it? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. What does that sound?
It was all his
It
dragon.
was his dragon because, again, that's her fucking baby. That's Scale's baby. Despite their inability to understand adoption. And so she probably, like, unknowingly called Taryn. Taryn's like, oh, she's not even supposed to be there. Like, she's in danger. I'm gonna go save her. And then he sees this little human protecting her, and he's like, you know what? You have a great character. I'm a bond with you. And I think it's kind of funny because, like,
and everybody
they're
is jealous
told
over
there's
it.
only 100 dragons, and they end up with like 2 extras, and she got those 2 extras. So
And some of them didn't even bond.
dragons. There was still 100 dragons to go around. It's not her fault none of them picked Orin. Maybe if he had actually gone and looked for his dragon.
Maybe if he wasn't such a bitch
and had actually gone and looked for his dragon, maybe he would have found, like, bonded with one of the dragons. It doesn't tell us how many.
So there is also something else about Xaden and Violet, because their dragons are mated. When the dragons get busy, the humans kind of want to get busy too.
This happens very, very soon after, like, okay, so
we're at that part.
We're not even at that part. Hold on. So, yeah, no, okay. What happens is
We're at that part.
Everybody starts getting their signet powers slowly, and she's sleeping. And a whole group of these students that didn't get a dragon, it's been like a few weeks, a bunch of students that didn't get a dragon break into her room somehow. And,
somehow.
they break into her room and try to kill her. She thankfully gets woken up by Taryn, warning her, like, hey, you're in danger. And,
silver
it's like
one.
6
Wake
or
up.
7, it's like 6 or 7 of them, and then the one of them, like, just disappears. She runs away, like, oh no,
and she gets a quick glimpse of them.
And she tries to fight off these people, and, like, it's not easy. There's 6 against 1 in this tiny room, and
one of them being
most of
Orin,
them being bigger than her. One of them being Orin. And Taryn's like,
Taryn tells her, I'm gonna get the wing leader.
Like, and he's trying to help her and be like, help is on its way. Help is on its way. And Darna, who is a baby dragon, gives her some of her power. She channels her power through Violet and freezes time just in time so that Violet doesn't get, like, stabbed. And Xaden busts open the door, kills everyone, and is like, that's when they find out that, like,
Amber Mavis is the one who let him in.
Yeah, she accuses. She saw Amber. They accused
Amber
her in front of everybody. She found out, and, like,
no, we gotta go back because dragon sex was before that.
No, it wasn't. Mavis opened the door for that group. She gets accused in front of everybody, and she's like, "You have no proof of that. Obviously, you're lying." Blah blah blah. And Dane, like,
Wait,
doesn't
no, go
doesn't
back to the
believe her.
part where we didn't talk about how Zayden killed everybody.
Yes, we did. Zayden busts in the door, kills everyone. He takes her. She sleeps in his room for the night.
But this is where she really sees what he's capable of with shadows.
Yes, because like he literally breaks everyone's neck with a shadow.
Hold on to everybody at the same time and gives everybody an equal opportunity. No, dead. No, dead. No, dead.
That's it. He doesn't give them a chance to be like, "We're so sorry" or nothing. He just snaps all their necks, and I'm like, I was like, that's a good scene to show like he's ruthless and he's gonna do anything to protect her. Like
he's protecting himself.
I think Oren's the only one that like got a chance to say anything. He's like, "Nah, fuck you," and just snaps everyone's necks. So I think that was a good scene of showing him like he will do what is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if like somebody he cares about is in danger. Which, by the way, Violet still thinks he wants to kill her. But now she's like, "Oh, but now he can't, even though he wants to. He'll find some way to kill me, even though he, like, can't." And I'm like, "Oh my God, stop. He would have killed you already."
He even points out, he's like, "At some point, we have to start trusting each other. Now tell me who helped them."
And
she's all like, "You won't believe me.
You won't believe me." He's like, "Guess I fucking will." And
instantly believes her.
Instantly believes it. He doesn't question it. Yep. He accuses Amber Mavis in front of everybody, puts her on trial, and Dane doesn't fucking believe it.
This is her childhood best friend, the supposed person that she's wanted to be with forever, who she looks at differently after they kissed. And then he's like, "Violet, don't do this. Tell them they're lying. Tell them you're lying. Tell them it's a lie.
Tell them it's wrong." And I'm like, what? And then not only that, like he just reaches for her head. He just
for the
reaches
memory
to touch her for the memory. He doesn't ask. He doesn't like say, "Please show me. Let me show everybody else." No, he just immediately reaches for her head. And then when she says "fuck off," and then has Taryn share the memory with all of the dragons, who then share their memory with their people, he's like, "Why didn't you just let me do that?" Because
why didn't you ask?
Trust me. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you trust me? You're supposed to be my best friend. But like, back to that, like, yeah, she's not seeing him the same way. Like, she's no longer like feeling attracted to him after that kiss. And part of that is because of that argument, like with Zayden, like, because it's all your fault. You can't interfere. But like, but you would, like, she was at risk. What would you have done? You would have just sat there and let her die? Like, yeah, Zayden was there, but he didn't technically interfere, even though he moved to do it. But you would have let her die. And then not only that, after you kissed her, you said, "Oh, well, we can't have anything because, like, I don't want that to get in the way of my, like, promotion or, like, my career or something." Even though he's supposedly in love with her, like, his excuse not to pursue a relationship with her was stupid. And then this, on top of that, where, like, he didn't believe her, he didn't trust her, he just immediately, without her consent, tried to look into her mind, and then, was like, tell them you're lying, like, no. So that was when I was just like, no, Dane is done in my books. Fuck that bitch. We're done with him. He no longer gets any chances. There's no redemption arc that will save him, because like this is just one step of, like, his complete downfall. And I would have liked
his villain
to see this,
era.
Yeah, I would have liked to see this with Amber. This was something that I would have liked to see with Amber, where yeah, she's a very minor role, but we don't see her lead up, like a build up to her lashing out and then her trying to get Violet killed. Like, we don't have that little
what
build
did she
up.
say? She was saying I was just doing what's best for the squadron or some shit, getting rid of the weak and all that, trying to justify it.
She tried to justify it.
Yeah, she says she justifies it. She says, no, it is no crime to rid the quadrant of the weakest rider. I did it to protect the integrity of the wings. She paces in panic, looking to everyone, anyone for help.
And I'm like, no. See, the thing is, like, they have very specific rules, and one of their biggest rules is you can't kill another cadet in their sleep. While they're sleeping. And not only that, like, she was in the safety of her own room. Amber shouldn't have been getting involved in that kind of shit anyway. She's a fucking wing leader. That was not something she should have been involved with. She should not have unlocked the door. She should not have helped with that or come up with the plan or whatever. So honestly, her death is justified, and it was one of those like moments where yes, you can sort of bend the rules a little bit, but you can't outright break them that way. And what she did was very wrong, because you can't trust a person like that out in the real world. Like, technically, you shouldn't trust anybody that's more than willing to kill you in school. Out in the real world, this whole academy is not building a whole like trust ladder for me. I would not trust any of these motherfuckers out in the real world if I had to go to school with them and they were trying to kill me the whole time.
Yeah, so Amber looks at her dragon like, please help me.
Looks
her
at
dragon snarls
Taryn's
at Taryn.
like, bitch.
Taryn's like, fuck you. And then Violet is like, please, Taryn, don't do this. He's like, this is our way. She's like, please, give her a chance. He goes, I let someone live once, and he almost killed you last night, Silver One. So, justice is not always merciful.
Orin.
Yeah.
So, Taryn is the one who puts because it was his rider that was almost killed by a bunch of other people, because this bitch let them into her room, he got the honor of...
I don't think it was just that. I think it's because Taryn is, like, the leader of the dragons. Because we've seen it before, how they make way for him, and how whenever something it needs an answer or something from the dragons, it's through Taryn.
I think he's definitely revered as one of, like, the leaders, because he's the biggest, baddest dragon, and...
Right.
Like a bunch of the dragons like show him that like respect. But in a way, like I only felt like I did feel the teensiest bit sorry for Amber, but at the same time I'm like, nope. You brought this on yourself. Like I felt bad that she died, but like I'm like you brought this on yourself. Like
right, like you know the codex.
You know better. You're a wing leader. You're supposed to set an example. And, like, this...
Yeah, I did not feel bad for that bitch at all.
This one thing pissed you off so much that you were willing to put your reputation, your life on the line? Like, just because she cheated at the Gauntlet? Like, that was the stupidest reason for her to just, like, take their...
Yeah. Because she cheated at the Gauntlet and then wound up with not one, but 2 dragons. And then
she can't even
one of her dragons is the only other black dragon.
Clearly, they thought she was worthy and she wasn't a weak link. So, I don't know.
But you know how humans are. You know how other girls are. They're petty as shit. They don't care.
But, yeah, no, she gets into an argument with Dane again. Being like, cause he's like upset with her for not saving Amber, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, bitch, you didn't even like ask for my consent before you tried to take my memory. So you can fuck off. And like, they have a falling out. And this is when, he's again trying to get her to go to the freaking scribes and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, just shut up. We're done with you. We're done. If he wasn't in the rest of the book, I would have been fine because he's now pissed me off. God, where are... Yes. Yeah. So Liam, our Liam
My
gets
best
assigned
friend.
as her bodyguard, and she's mad about this. Like, he's one of the kids of the traders. She's like, I don't need a bodyguard, but we're like, I think
It's kind
it
of
would
clear
be
that you
good.
do.
It's you kind of do. Like, anybody that hurts or kills her is going to also get Zayden killed, so it makes her a bigger target.
Right.
It like, if like what they understand about the bonds is right, like they're bonded to their dragon, so if their dragon dies, they die, but if they die, their dragon doesn't. But if she dies, Zayden could die too.
Hmm.
And like, if all of that information is correct, like she's a huge target now for anybody that doesn't like Zayden.
Right.
So she gets Liam as a bodyguard. Imogen
And
decides to start
Imogen.
training her. She's like, we're gonna start strength training you. We're gonna make your joints stronger because they pop out so fucking easily. And I'm like, that's actually I'm really glad that she added that like she started doing like weightlifting training and trying to
Hmm.
make her muscles and joints stronger. You got to be very careful with EDS and doing that kind of stuff, but it's something that I have to do with my knee. Um you got to like train that area
Physical
to
therapy.
strengthen. Yeah, it's physical therapy. And
Me with my
it's
lungs.
one it's physical therapy was one of like the best things for me to do with my knee. It helped a lot with the pain. And my knee pops out a lot less. Like, I don't have EDS. I just have a really screwed up knee from a very bad injury. But it's like it pops out, but it doesn't do it as much since when I started doing therapy. Like,
Right.
so it was very good that she put that in there, and that Imogene was like, "This is what we need to do so that you're not
Oh yeah,
such
because
a target."
before
Like,
Ree was the one who was training her.
yeah, Ree was training her, and she's like, "Your training
You're
with me is
taking it
fine, but
easy
it's
on
not
me.
good enough. It's
Hmm.
not good enough." And Ree's like, "Oh, well, I'm kind of hurt," but she still continues to train with Ree, and
Hmm.
enemy an advantage. And like, they're racking their brains. And Liam's like, "Oh, we should break into the archives," because he's been helping her with her archive, developing a relationship with her, I guess is how you would explain it. So it's yes,
I mean,
it's good that he ended. He was like, we're gonna stop right there because